Well, actually, not the past 4 years, I was an animated arts and video and sound studio manager at Peninsula, Pacific Northwest College of Art, which is like a cool art school down in Portland. Before that, for 4 or 5 years, I was a media trainer and facilitator at Thurston Community Media in Olympia, Washington, which is used to be called PCTV. And I don't know if you guys remember, but a bunch of pop-up people, when they were like starting out, came down there, and because like Deb Vinsel, who ran that for 30 years, is like, like a cool person in the community media scene. And you guys came down there and like saw how it worked. And it's like we have a whole HD studio and cameras and editing studios, and people from the community would come in and make their media and like get trained. And like I taught all those classes, and it was just a really fun and cool place, and it still is. And so I went to high school here, and I'm kind of passionate about this area. And getting laid off due to the pandemic, and my mom was up here, I came back up here. And so I'm kind of excited to see if I can get involved with community media and try to make it happen.
Real quick question, Maxwell. Now, working with the School of the Arts, are you talking about like 3D modeling in Max Maya or Blender, or are you talking about post effects, or a little bit of both?
Oh, yeah.
Or...
Well, it was like the full-blown stop-motion 2D, 3D animation studio. And, yeah, we taught Blender and Cinema 4D. I'm like a big Blender enthusiast, and I taught classes on that Blender. Down in...
And Darian's now learning Blender. So he's a practical effects makeup guy. Darian is, and he's awesome. Just learning Blender.
Yeah, well, it's so fun.
Yeah, it'd be great having you around.
And so actually I met Silas. We were working on a project and heard about Papa, and you kind of mentioned that I could check it out. And so thanks, Silas, for inviting me. And I'm just happy to see what happens.
Cool. Well, we lost Jeff for a little bit, I think, but
he might be over by Discovery Bay.
Yeah. But I don't know if you want to start things up there, Arthur. It's up to you.
All right, we shall do that then. It is 6:08, March the 9th. Meeting has come to order. We'll do a roll call. So we have Keith, Shauna, Arthur, Eric. Jeff was here, probably will be back in a few minutes. Brendan, Silas, Darian, and
Maxwell Brown for the community.
That'll be that we don't need to do it. That's for the board members. So that makes everyone once Jeff gets back. So the next thing we have is now I need you to go. Next we have adopting the agenda. So is there anything that we need to add for further discussion to tonight's agenda?
I think we need to add what happened this morning to today's agenda as a late item.
So I'm going to preface that real quick before the board discusses that. Do we want to discuss that as a separate issue, kind of like we would employee issues, versus a open discussion at a regular agenda meeting before we have a chance to fully discuss and get everything detailed out? Because to me, I look at this kind of similarly to as if we had employee conflict or a situation that arose before we have an open discussion during a board meeting. So I'm going to pose that question to everyone to decide.
Depends on what we're talking about exactly.
I don't mind.
Okay.
So we're talking about the email and everything else that arose from this morning's emailing, or whatever time the email went out, and the chain of events linking it further.
Right.
That's the I'm assuming was what I think Brandon just confirmed, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So, and since this is a board meeting, not a, I look at it in terms of business, and I don't think that is something that we should be addressing first in a board meeting without having communicated, I guess, everything that's going on. But I will leave that to you guys to decide either way.
Either way.
Brendan, do you have a feeling on that?
Yeah, I would like to discuss it as a late item after we discuss all of the other business.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do this. Anyone opposed? Okay, so then we will add it on to the meeting as what is that, new business, and that will be at the bottom. So we got G. Okay, so topic I. All right, so that's added. Anyone else have anything else they wish to add to tonight's meeting? Okay, so we will go on to the approval of minutes. And that is A through C, board meeting, special meeting, and special meeting. Any corrections, comments to any of those?
No, went through them all. They looked good.
Yeah. All right, so do we have a first and a second?
I'll move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, using unanimous consent, anyone opposed? Okay, so that passes. Community comments. So we have a member of the community. I'm sorry, I don't recall the name.
Maxwell.
Maxwell Brown, joining us tonight. And now it is officially a meeting. Is there anything that you wish to state to the board? Comments, questions? The floor is yours.
No, thank you.
So we'll go on to chair report. And for me, so I have had a lot of contact with the PAPD over the last 3-4 weeks. Every day before work, I drive down past the studio, and then on the way back, I drive past the studio. And I've had, I want to say, at least 6 calls that resulted. I think it was a total of around 16 people that have been trespassed in the past 3 weeks, or at least have had police contact once I saw that they were within our lines and refused to leave, or were there just mouthing off or what have you. So I'm continuing to do that, but I want to say that from the initial first week up until now, I've been seeing a steady decline of people there, at least the times that I go. That varies anywhere between 1:30 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. So, and that's actually kind of surprising to me that I've had that many contacts with people at our building between those hours. So, but it's been steadily declining as I've been there every day. And as far as that's kind of been it at the moment. From any outreach, I've been talking to a few people about potentially.
That's further down. Outreach is further down.
Okay, so I'll just end that at for now. So, any questions or comments in regards to the chair report? No. Okay, so we will move on to the treasurer's records report. Shauna.
Okay. Musical chairs. Does anybody have any questions about the reports from December, January, or February? Now that they have gone out.
Just click the tabs up there on that top screen. Ow. The other 2 reports. Wow. For this one,
Yeah, she got the.
So, as of right now, or as of when the report was run, there was a total of $21,338.02 in the bank, or sorry, $21,321.39. As since then, all of the bills have been paid. The L&I statements for the last 2 months have been filed and taken care of. The N990 for last year, which was never filed, and this year have both been taken care of. There's been several business credit cards offers that have been coming into the post office box, mainly Chase Bank. I didn't know if anybody wants me to pursue any of these or maybe pursue an Amazon business card. We've also been looking into various different tax preparers to get the right fit for us to do our taxes. After calling H&R Block, they were the lowest quote, but they don't have anybody that works with nonprofits, so we will not be working with H&R Block. It seems that the people who have been doing it from last year quoted a minimum of $680, and they're going to be the best bet for us to go through.
Who is that?
Eric, who is that?
On top. Right there on top of the yellow envelope under the notepad.
Olympic Tax and Business Consulting LLC.
Oh, okay.
You know,
out of Belfair.
I can reach out to Lena Washke and ask her what they do about nonprofits.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah,
And get back to me.
I know her pretty well, so okay.
Okay.
Would like to work with the community.
I would definitely like to work with somebody in the community rather than having to like go to Bellingham, Belfair,
Yeah,
and the places that we've been sending out to in the past.
yeah. She has a tax agency here in PA. She's great. She's very involved in the community. So
That'd be awesome. Yeah, just let me know.
Okay, does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns, corrections for the Treasury report?
No, glad to see that we're reaching out and chasing down some credit card officers, especially Amazon. That's probably the easiest one to get. So, yeah, good job.
Well, I haven't been chasing any of the applications. These are actually ones that are just coming into the mailbox. I haven't done anything with any of them yet because I wanted to check with the board and see which ones they wanted me to go forward with. I do think since we do order from Amazon a lot, an Amazon card would be probably the best bet to start off with. But whatever you guys think that I should do, that's what I'll pursue.
So I think that at the very least, to help build our score, and knowing that Amazon is probably going to be the most likely to grant us a business credit card, that might be something worthwhile that we pursue, not only because we can use it, obviously, in our day-to-day business, but because if we are able to get it, we will be able to build credit further and still have some credit for much-needed items on the web. So
I honestly think it'd be the one we'd be able to use and pay off, the easiest versus anything else. Plus, we get better rewards that way by using Amazon. We get Amazon rewards through them also.
I'm good with whatever we do, but I do know that if we did something like Chase or First Federal or something like that, if something goes wrong, we'd be able to just go down there and take care of it.
Right.
So,
actually, no, the local banks don't do business
I know
stuff.
First Federal does because I used to do nonprofit.
I have Chase, and they do local regular banking, but anything that's big, they give you a number to call in their office in their conference room.
That was weird.
I mean, the Amazon card is a Chase card.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So
Right, but it's separate department, and
of course,
different people handle it and whatnot. So, do we have a motion to pursue?
Just one other second. I think too, definitely looking into potential Home Depot card may be good as well, just because the facilities need some work, and again they have some pretty good rates especially if we do a project loan or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So, do we have a motion to then pursue Amazon and Home Depot?
I make a motion to go ahead and get Amazon and Home Depot.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it. Okay.
Okay, we got a second and a third. Okay, using unanimous consent. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes. Shauna, you can go ahead and pursue a Home Depot and a Amazon credit card account.
Okay.
Okay.
Musical chair.
Pull up the...
Okay.
Okay. So that brings us to facilities report, Darian.
Alrighty. So, not a whole lot new. Still tons of people around the ramp constantly. Still need to figure out a fence for that. A lot more graffiti. I've been noticing a lot of that everywhere outside, along with a lot more garbage and people just leaving things there. Uh, Basically, every time I've gone down, I've had to call and have people removed and trespassed. Um, and I mean, put up the chain and no trespassing sign, and that disappeared a day later, which wasn't surprising, but still kind of frustrating. Um, so, been working on replacing the toilet off that main room there, which is challenging due to it being a historic building with historic plumbing.
Hmm.
But that's coming along slowly but surely. Hopefully, I'll have that done by the end of the week. It's a lot more complicated than I expected. Still need to figure out about the hot water heater. It's on my to-do list. I've been kind of focused on kind of the situation there with the toilet. Let's see.
Refresh my memory on that water heater real quick. We did approve for doing an actual water heater, right?
Yes.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So I will get together with you later on that then, because I now have some new options with what I'm doing that might help you out. So after the meeting, I'll get a hold of you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
And we've been getting kind of supplies in to just start fixing the building up and make sure that everything's clean and sanitary. I got some more hand sanitizer, dispensers, a couple other things. Talking about repainting different areas, I did want to get approval just to be able to purchase paint and start repainting certain areas to kind of make them look a little nicer. If everyone's fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Yeah, you got like you got petty cash. We have already given you the tools to do it.
Hold on a second. So we did have approval for Shauna's plum, purple, pink, whatever color that was. But we didn't have any discussion in regards to painting anything further. I'm all for covering up any graffiti or anything that's like that, but let's keep in mind we are also looking to purchase equipment that we're going to have to put a substantial down payment on. So
I was actually thinking for the inside.
Yeah, he's talking about interior painting.
Interior. What specific areas are you looking to paint, and is there a necessity for it, or just a?
It's mostly for aesthetic reasons.
Sorry.
It's mostly for aesthetic reasons. Just
Which areas in
look nicer as we're opening up to the public.
Which areas in particular are you referring to that you list out in terms of like? I mean, if it's like like where we expect to have high volume, I understand it, and if it's a necessity, I understand it. But I do want us to make sure that we are being very diligent with our budget at the moment until we secure the equipment and everything else works out, and we're keeping an eye on the budget at least for now until we know that we're okay. Continuing month to month in operations, especially if we're planning on opening and that it's going to be higher bills and everything else, I want to make sure that we're being very careful with our budget.
Okay.
So, with all that, I don't mind painting any necessities, and I open up the floor to further discussion.
So I'm okay with not painting my office, at least until we can get, one, we can save the money, and two, at least until we get that ceiling fixed. It's kind of pointless to paint and then have water coming in down the wall and destroying your wonderful paint job.
Yeah, until the ceiling's fixed, that's going to be a bit of an issue. But I mostly was just thinking of kind of repainting a few of the higher traffic areas just so they look nicer. I mean, it's an old building. It could really use, I don't know, kind of change of scenery.
So I think also on that topic or on that note, I would say maybe we sit down in the facilities committee or have a meeting to discuss high area priorities and then maybe paint based off of those high priorities where we can expect to have more of a influx of use, and then
like
go
a meeting room.
something, yeah, like whether just based on, do it logically with whatever that we do.
Sounds good.
Okay. Anyone else on that topic? Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
That's about it for the moment, I believe. So that's it.
Okay, so are there any general questions for Darian in terms of the port?
I have a statement just to let you guys know. If you haven't been in the station lately, stop by. Again, Darian's done a hell of a job of getting that place looking nice. He's been busting his butt trying to get this bathroom fixed to where we can get the new toilet in. And he's been spending quite a bit of time down there. So thank you, Darian, for the time you've been investing, sir.
Welcome. Maybe don't stop in anytime too soon. It's it's kind of a mess with that project going. So it's contained, but it's still very much a work in progress.
Okay, so we will move on to programming report. Eric.
Okay, so just to let you guys know that I've been looking at several different programming options. I come up with a schedule outline for channel 120. That's what I was really worried about due to the fact of news and government covering channel 21. So, I looked at our older programming and some things that I know was just thrown in there to be thrown in there. I kind of tossed that idea. I went through Peg Media and looked at their higher rated shows, picked out a bunch of new programming to replace some of that old stuff. My idea for now, and this is kind of goes back to when COVID started and we had a lot of community outreach for working with our local churches. Now, I've emailed a bunch of the churches and some of them are really wanting to work with us. But I thought about running a test of setting aside both Sundays and Wednesdays for religious and kind of feel-good programming, just to see how that works. It helps us plug. It doesn't just help us plug the schedule. It gives a more of a variety, I think, to our viewers. And that's going to kind of sink in a little bit. I think that's going to get a few more people headed our way if we have some sort of religious programming. Along those lines on fill gaps, because it doesn't matter how much programming I find. Most shows are a half an hour or an hour, some two. A week's a long time to fill. So on that note, we got access to NASA back 24 hours a day, and I figured NASA would run late night unless we have shows to plug in over it. I have gained access to PBS and PBS Kids feeds for us. And as far as religious programming goes, I have got access to the Hope Channel and God TV, which both stream 24/7. They can be plugged into areas until we plug in our own local religious programming. That's my thoughts on it. It gives us a whole different look. It's not a lot of old content. Yeah, that's I can actually add a couple of things I had on my station manager report that I can add into this. Is that on Thursday I'm going to be attending a Zoom meeting with OCA, Clallam County Democrats, Squim Good Governance League, Power Shift, the League of Women Voters, Avatar, and the Beacon. All of this, the subject of this meeting is potential shows that these groups can create on Papa. So I have that meeting set up for 2:00 on Thursday. It's virtual. I also had spoke with Dr. Ralph Smith. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Ralph, he was the second ever board member for Papa with the original board. He retired just because he had a lot going on. He does a lot of production work, but has not had studio time around here. So they've been doing a lot of production stuff like Yakima and stuff. So he wants to bring back his old shows like Positively Port Angeles and Life's Journeys. He wants to do those and add new episodes to them. And he and his crew have also expressed an interest in 6 other potential shows to bring to Papa. Some sports related, some politically related, things like that. He and I will have talked about going out on like a Wednesday or Thursday for some coffee and talking programming. So, yeah. So we lost Jeff. But as far as the programming report goes, that's it on my end. I don't have anything else.
Hey Eric, can I still participate in that call on Thursday?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I actually got the email. I will forward it to you about the Zoom with that Zoom link.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hey,
absolutely.
Eric, can you forward that to the entire programming subcommittee?
Yep. I can do that.
Maybe just forward it to everyone in case anyone's interested in sitting in on it to listen or talk or participate or whatever.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, so does anyone have any questions for Eric regards to the programming report?
Yeah, just a quick one. Why Wednesday and Sunday, and why NASA at night?
Well, okay, first of all, overnight programming, what else are you going to do?
God TV.
Honestly. Huh?
The God
No.
TV.
Well, no, and which are on certain days, yes, but Wednesday and Sunday are normally religious days. And I think if we play to the crowd, to the community that we have, we'll gain those community members. I honestly, personally, myself, I'm not a very religious guy, but I have friends who are diehard, by word for word, religious people that don't miss a minute of church or any sort of anything religious, and that would be interested in this. And I think we should try it as a pilot program for a couple of months just to see what it's like, and maybe get some feedback off our social media. And if it don't work, then we can fill in Wednesday with something else. But I think it's a decent pilot program.
And I think that's also what we have been doing in the past is
NASA at
late
night.
and then filler for Sundays and Wednesdays. Well, Sundays for sure was religious stuff.
Sundays was religious. Wednesdays was something I was thinking about adding, just because those are the 2 main religious times of the week, and a lot of people are interested. So.
And that doesn't mean that all the hours in Wednesday and Sunday are only for religious content, right?
No, religious or feel-good programming. You know what I mean? Something.
Correct. And I think the comment was that it was filler.
Yeah.
It's filler for those days and it's designated to those days. And if there are other shows that aren't religious but they make sense to put on Wednesday, we can still do that.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to see if it's possible to. I know, like, we got this God TV and the other 24-hour program. If you wouldn't mind looking in to see if you could find some non-Abrahamic religion programming that may be that way too for people who aren't Christian.
I looked, and the only thing that's come up is Muslim.
The Muslims fine too.
I'm just saying, but it's all in Hebrew. I've actually watched some of it.
Also fine. It doesn't have to be in English.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't mind plugging something like that in. And yeah, no, I'm not. It doesn't have to be Christian programming. I mean, you guys can find me a 24-hour Wiccan channel. Let's get all over that, or something. I don't care. Religion's religion. It can be anybody as far as I'm concerned. But the majority of our community, about 2/3 of our community here are when it comes to religion, are Christian, and that's what I was kind of playing to. The other third's Wiccan, and again, they don't have a 24-hour streaming channel. I've looked, actually.
Just look for other options, and then the board too. If you guys know of anything or have any options, or look around, share anything you come up with as options.
I have a suggestion.
Sure.
Yeah, Maxwell.
Yeah, Democracy Now! Is a great feed, and you can get their episodes daily during the week.
We actually
Fresh news
play
every day.
Democracy Now! Twice a day on Channel 21. Channel 21
Awesome.
is our news and government feed. We do Democracy Now! And Deutsche Welle, which are two very big shows when it comes to news. And they both play on Channel 21.
So is there something to be
That's
said,
great to hear.
though, between 21 being SD and 120 being HD? Is it worth putting some of that other content on our HD channel?
Possibly. I'm trying to keep it as separate as possible right at the moment. Just because I want the channels to have an identity. And I think that giving them that identity, one being the community channel, one being news and government, and I know a lot of PEG stations actually run 3 channels, one specific government, one education, and one for public. So we are nowhere close to doing that, like, by far. So I thought breaking it up and making just one the 24-hour news and government, and the other one as the community and public channel, and throw them educational programming and stuff like that, will give those channels separate identity instead of blending in to make it look like we're kind of lacking a little bit of content.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if we can keep it consistent throughout, I think that's probably the best way to go. But if we run out of content, I mean, we definitely need to make sure that at whatever point in time, content is content. We need to fill airtime.
Can I say something back on the religious show topic?
Yeah.
If we're going to air other religions and their type of programming, we also need to make sure that we're airing it on a day that's not disrespectful to their religion.
That's
So, like,
actually a very good
if
point. I'll
one
have to look at that.
If one religion doesn't practice on Sundays, they practice on like Fridays or Saturdays, then we need to be showing their content on those days.
Okay.
That's actually a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, the Jewish people's Sabbath is on Saturday, so.
Yeah.
Thank you for being smarter than us on the
Thank you.
particular topic.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I knew that going to Catholic school for 5 years was going to pay off someday.
There you go. And I'll pay it off today. All right. So, are there any other questions for Eric in regards to programming? Okay. So we will move on to outreach and fundraising. Okay. So, stemming off of earlier, I have been reaching out to a few people and contacts that I reached out to pre-pandemic times, and since we are at the apocalypse times of the pandemic, I guess, I'm trying to re-secure some of the things that were previously discussed in terms of sponsorships. I still have to call Corey to make sure that we still have the movies at the park funding potentially coming back to us. That was something that we were supposed to have between $5,000 and $10,000 of per year to do. So I gotta find out where we stand on that prior to pandemic. Basically, I've just been reaching out to everyone pre-pandemic, trying to re-secure things in the event that we do open up, or at least have guidance to where Papa can pursue things that were previous into the future, depending on restrictions.
Where do you do that? Movies on the park?
So anywhere that we have the city parks that has power or feasible locations for us to do so.
I don't know if it was like down on the side of the old Zach's Tavern, so you can have the big building, because I know that they're getting ready to put the Winter Wonderland thing back in there.
Anywhere where any city-owned property that has power, but mainly through the parks, because that's where Corey's department is, has been the agreed-upon standings thus far. Any other questions?
Hey, Arthur, do you know if those funds are DBG, CBDG funds, or where those funds come from the city-wise?
So that was, if I remember correctly, and it's been a while, that was directly out of the Parks Department budget. But again, for the first one, they didn't have anything to do with it other than sponsoring the location and the power. Then when they saw the success that we had over 230 people, I think it was, show up for the event, Corey definitely wanted to have that continue, as well as some of the other nonprofits that attended, because it was all part of that. Was it the Day of Play or whatever the city was doing? I think it was the Day of Play, and they wanted to keep doing that. I believe, if memory serves me correct, that Corey was talking about just pulling that from the Parks Department budget to do that, to host a co-community event, and that was my memory recall.
Yeah, I love the idea of that, and I would love to see like maybe a film festival too. Would be really great.
That I've been working on. That's a tough one to sell, much less during COVID times. But that is one of the things that, as part of outreach and fundraising, that I have been looking at over the last couple of years. And that is something that I would strive for us to get, especially since I believe Vancouver does have a film festival.
So does Port Townsend. Port Townsend has a huge film festival every year.
Yeah, so it's not to say that it's not possible, but for us to have it, it'll be challenging. But it is something that, as a benchmark, that I would like as a goal to maybe pursue and hopefully one day attain.
Yeah, I think the two largest film festivals in the area is Port Townsend and Seattle. The Seattle Film Festival is pretty monstrous, and so is Port Townsend. I think they all happen right around the Sundance time too. I could be wrong, but I think they're pretty close to it.
I know I want to reach out to Port Townsend, Eric, and if you can get back to me with some people contacts for those folks at Port Townsend, I'd very much like to talk with them and see what's going on.
Are you referring to the film festival thing?
No. Just talking about the prior contacts. Yeah. With the possible expansion peg station over there, and I really like to see a donation link for our nonprofit for people to just straight out donate up would be great. So those two things I would like to see.
Are we talking donation link on our website or on Facebook?
Yeah, website, Facebook, all over.
We
Twitter.
I'll talk about that in a minute, though. We had it, but on my station manager report, I'll talk about that.
Brendan, do you have anything to report from outreach?
Just the aforementioned stuff.
Okay. All right. So does anyone have any questions for either myself or Brendan?
No.
Okay. Then we will move on to the station manager report. Eric, go ahead.
Okay, so I got a little bit to cover here. First of all, we did receive the new APC battery back up. It's at the station. When I was in there the other day, the other one's still running decently, so I'm waiting to hook it up with the new equipment. So new battery backup, new equipment. I did speak with Heidi Greenwood from Port Townsend. She's asked about a camera package, and I emailed out about that. The city of Port Townsend is really sick of the camera package they have. I guess their IT department pieced together like 2 or 3 packages to get what they've got now. It's only putting out like a 480 feed, if that. It's really grainy. It does, however, when somebody queues up on the mic, the camera focuses on them. So they've asked us to put together, just to see if we can put together a couple sample packages. I'm sure that they're, if we don't get the contract, which I still don't see us not getting, it's just, there's just a lot of bureaucracy right now going on in the background there. And again, I'll touch upon that in a minute. If we don't get the contract with Port Townsend, we can always charge a consultant fee about getting their camera set up, because that way we're still working with them and showing that we can work with them even if something falls through. As far as it goes, with the package taking over the peg channels there, there's a lot being held up because of the radio station. Again, there are city council members who are also on the board for the radio station. They're really pushing for the radio station to take over the PEG station. I had a very, very long conversation with Heidi about the fact that, they're insisting that they can get Wave to drop a cable specifically for the PEG station. And Wave and other companies are saying if they're not covering an area, they're not bringing a cable in. So they're being fed two different things. So Heidi took some time out to do a little research on her own. She's actually talking with the city manager about it. I'm hoping to hear something back in the next week or two. I am checking in with her. It's just a lot of, they really want to take it over, and they're trying to tell her that they can do it from Fort Worden, which is where they're moving the radio station to, and Wave does not go out there. That's like us saying that we're moving Papa to Forks, and we're going to pull in a dedicated line, and Wave would laugh at us and say, no, you're not, because Wave don't go out to Forks. There's that as far as Port Townsend goes. For those that didn't see the email, we did put the down equipment on the payment of $11,900. It's due to ship out at the beginning of next week, if not sooner. They're waiting on just a couple of parts because they're building all of our stuff brand new from the ground up. It's not just stuff they're pulling off a shelf. It's customized to our station. The equipment should be received by the end of next week. My plan is to go in next Saturday, the 20th, and to work throughout the day to get all the new equipment installed. Okay.
Me too.
The website, as you've noticed, has been stripped down to bare minimum right now in expectation of redesign. We actually did have a donate thing on there that went to our PayPal account. I know that because I went through hoops to try to get that done. But the reason it's stripped down is we're going to be getting some specific templates come in from Teleview, specifically for video on demand and live broadcasting. I want to make sure to get those installed, up and running right, and then start redoing the website around that to make everything in sync. And, plus we still have to talk, and it's a new business, about memberships, which I pulled all membership stuff down until we get that cleared up. So the website is down. It's up, but it's down to bare minimum, basically in expectation of the redesign for it. The last couple of things I have is I've spoken with Darian, and I'm trying to work with him about getting the light fixtures replaced to LED pictures. We've actually talked with the city, with the conservation part of the city. We were told that in order to have the fixtures done, we have to have a contractor install them. It's a code thing. They gave me a list of approved city contractors, which I've reached out to. I also have the list of we get back anywhere from $1 to $500 per fixture that we replace. Basically, the contractor, and I've got some calls out to contractors. They're really backed up right now. And almost everybody I called is like, wow, we're like 4, 6, 8 weeks out on calls, even for estimates. But all of them said that they do free estimates. The person I talked to down at Conservation said that we need to know the light fixture type, if we're going to have to replace the whole thing or just the bulbs. Now, that depends on how much we get back. If we replace the whole lighting unit, we get back that big of a rebate versus the just replacing the bulbs for LED, which is going to be less of a rebate. So as I get more information on that, I'm going to be feeding it to Darian and working with him to try to get, or if nothing else, get him as facility manager in sync with these guys, and so we can move forward because the LED lights will be cheaper on us, power usage wise, they'll last longer, and they're brighter. So,
Yeah, I'm on the facilities committee, right?
I'm sure.
I think you're on pretty much.
Keep me in post with that, because I actually was on the other end of that, where I was looking to be a contractor for those city-approved stuff. You know, I got to tell you, a lot of times it's just cheaper just to go ahead and buy a product yourself and put it in, minus the rebate, or because it costs more than the contractor charges than it is to get it back. So depending on what it is that's being put in, it might not even be worth it to go through the city, unfortunately. But like I said, keep me posted on that.
Facilities is Darian, Arthur, and Brendan, by the way. And I had discussed this with Brendan before, or not with Brendan, with Darian before, and when we had a talk, and I told him that I would reach out, which I did for him, and so you know, if I had to get that out to the whole facility community, I will. Those 2 PDF files I have. But you know, I just want to make sure to get him on the same page, because again, any money we can save in the long run is going to be back in the pocket of the business.
So again, my only comment on that is to keep me posted, and if it's not financially better, then as light fixtures goes out, we can replace them either with LED fixtures or bulbs, and I know how to do electrical work, so I'm not timid in any way to swap out fixtures or bulbs.
Right, but they were telling me that in order to get that swapped
rebate,
out,
yes,
well, no, not the rebate, because of the building being historical and us being a business, we have to have it up to code, and we have to have a licensed, well, whatever. I mean, you're in construction, you know.
Yeah, you don't have to, for like, you don't have to have contractor.
I don't know anything about construction, so I'll leave that in y'all's hands.
So can I just revisit one thing?
Sure.
So we put a down payment with Teleview, and then how did it end up with line of credit and stuff like that?
So, okay, so what's going to happen is all the credit from Teleview is going strictly to the business. We didn't have to use anybody's credit. We didn't have to do nothing. So what happened was with Teleview, it came down to I put in all the paperwork. The guy ran it. He had said, you know what? I have a nonprofit guy. I'm going to run it through there. It's much better for us. Let's go ahead and run that. That fell through. I mean, literally, the fact that Papa has 0 credit is killing us. So when it came back that their third-party financer straight up told us no, Denise, who I've been working with this entire time, came back and said, you know what? We'll just do it in-house. We're going to take care of you guys in-house. We're going to report it to the credit bureau as Papa, and we're going to do it as a business. The only difference is that we had to have 25% down instead of 10% down, which was the $11,900, which is only like $1,900 more than I was thinking that we were going to spend anyways. And it's 10% interest versus 8% interest. Regardless of which, it all goes straight to the business. So I think we actually lucked out there. And she worked some magic for us to get everything that we needed. So yeah, she added on a bunch. Yeah, I mean, we ended up with more for the initial price that they had priced us, and you know, I'm actually happy to be working with. She fought really hard to make sure we had what we need when everybody else was telling us no.
How much are our payments every month?
I have to grab that paperwork for you. I believe our payments are $12.50 a month.
And how long? How many years?
3 years. 3 years, I believe.
3 years.
Again, the more money we can get there, the more we can. And my last thing on my station manager report to bring up real quick, I actually have talked to a couple of you about this. But I actually have a personal plan for Papa, and that's going to come in a couple of phases, starting at the beginning of next month. Completely upgrading the studio and the production side of Papa. Now that we're upgrading the broadcast side of Papa, um, I'm going to put in over 10 grand of my own cash into new cameras and equipment and accessories to get it a more professional environment and a working control room. Um, Once that's done, because I've already got it laid out on what I plan to bring in. Once that's done and things have been tested and been used a little bit, my phase two of that plan, which is about 3 months later, I'll know what more I can do with it, what's missing, what could make it better, whatever, and what may or may not have been lacking from phase one, and reinvest again. So the total between the two phases is going to be over $20,000 that I'm going to put in, just specifically to get the production side up and running. So,
sorry, are you going to donate $20,000 to Papa?
no, I am putting $20,000 worth of equipment in Papa to be usable by people, and I will be putting up a contract on that saying the equipment can be used by Papa members and so on and so forth.
So you're donating $20,000 worth of equipment to Papa?
No, I'm
No.
bringing in $20,000 worth of equipment that
He's
can be
making
used.
it available to my understanding, he's making it available to Papa members to use his $20,000 worth of equipment he plans to fit the studio with for production. Am I correct?
Yes, I mean I already donated over 10,000 in actual equipment before. Now I'm going to invest 20,000 in cash into new equipment that I'm going to be bringing in there that I will put under contract that we will be usable by Papa members, by Papa staff for the purposes of production within Papa itself.
And these two plans you're going to forward to the board, I guess?
I can.
I mean, that would be cool. Just to inform the board would be nice.
Yeah, when you get to that step, there's actually you're going to need to do that because we'll also have to look at how that's going to pertain to insurance, liability, and all that other stuff.
Right. Well, and we had actually touched upon this before when I had my equipment down there, when Elizabeth was treasurer, that our equipment, as long as it is marked as so in the building, is covered by the building insurance.
And
She
when
actually
we get
did
to
look
that
that up.
point, we will need to double check everything.
Right.
Make sure everything conforms to any liability and or whatever issues at
But
that point.
that's the end of my station manager report.
Okay, does anyone have any questions on any of the numerous points from Eric's report? Okay, so we will then move on to our committees. Was there any committee meetings to actually report through item 12 through 17?
The closest is I had sent out the new foundational programming chart to the programming committee. That was it. That's the closest we came to a meeting.
Okay, so then we will. Does anyone have any questions for what Eric just said in regards to that being sent out? Okay. So then we will move on to don't move it to where was that? New business 19. So revised bylaws. Who's taking that on?
That would be you, boss man.
I was the chair. Okay, so obviously everyone was there. We went over the bylaws. We made those adjustments. So, do we have any question, comments, revisions, or last-minute things to add on to the bylaw topic in general?
I missed the very last one because of an emergency, but I did review on the recording. But there was something broken up on the last part of I think it was the last page you guys went through. So I was You have the, you don't have it
Do we have? Did you send out a copy of the revised bylaws?
I did
Yes, right here.
in the last email.
I don't think we really made
You
any
said the
changes.
last page.
here. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
don't
was
think we
all.
made any changes in the
I don't
last
think we
two.
made any
Oh,
big
okay. That
changes.
was the question. 'Cause
Yeah.
I couldn't tell from the
Yeah, no.
video.
Like
Yeah,
with the-
last
like-
3 or 4 pages. I don't think we did.
I do have something that I think that we need to address real quick before we put the bylaws in.
Versus bylaws?
Yes.
Okay.
And I honestly feel that this should be addressed under either Article 7 or Article 8. Because as we have, a lot of us have spoken and we know, and it's in part of the new business. There really has only been one actual election for pub officers, which was at the beginning, and people just kind of got voted in when somebody stepped down since then. And I think what we need to touch upon to put in there is the actual time that we've got to. I mean, I think it mentioned somewhere, I'm not quite sure which section, it talked about somewhere about the final board meeting of the year. So it doesn't say it's the new year. It just says 10 years before our final board meeting of the year, which our fiscal year,
10 days.
or yeah, 10 days. Our fiscal year, I believe, is from January to the end of December, correct? Am I right?
I think so.
So, I mean, I honestly think that we can do this one of two ways: is either have it put in there that we need the elections done by the first meeting of the new year, or at the end of the last meeting of the last year, or after our anniversary. Which, by the way, I forgot to bring up, guys. Our 5-year anniversary is on the 11th. You know, congratulations to Papa and those people who came before us. So I don't know how the board wants to address this. You know, I'm sure we got to open it up to topic, but nothing in there is specific about those voting times, and I think those should be addressed in the bylaws.
Well, the big thing is like is that for election of nominating people on the board, or is that for elections of position?
Executive
Or the
positions.
the executive positions.
Okay, so
Yeah, because we need to have the 4 mandatory ones. So
right. Well, my thing on that would be we haven't had the luxury of having enough people to do elections. Sometimes we've had one person available for the job, but in the event that we do have people available, usually nonprofit organization procedures say when you have a situation like that where a position comes open, you have an announcement at the meeting. There's going to be an election at the next meeting. And that gives a month for everybody to throw their pitch or whatever. And then the next meeting, you have your election, and then by that time, then it's deemed, whoever gets elevated. And so I don't know why they would have it at the end of a year, because it's not copacetic with like the officers. You could have somebody join in December and then say, okay, you're up for election.
Right. No,
And,
but technically, if you are voted into a position before that position's done, that don't count against your term. So,
Okay.
like you're allowed to serve 3 consecutive year terms before you have to step down a year to run again. But if you step in, say like Shauna steps down as treasurer, and I know you hate this, but I'm going to say you stepped up in her place 4 months before the election. Those 4 months does not count as your first term as treasurer. That you're finishing out her term.
Okay.
Is how that's supposed to go.
Yeah, because it's funny.
yeah,
you
I
say
think
that
I
'cause it's
think
my
the
1
point
year.
of what Eric is saying is that under normal circumstances, we should have a specific time and procedures for elections and re-elections and what have you. Because Eric has brought that up to me, and I was thinking about it, and he's right. We've only had one actual board that was elected. The rest of the members have been continually, someone is stepping down or removed, and someone else has been put into that spot, all the way up to me. because I took over when Jeff actually stepped down as president, when he had to go do the DAV stuff. So, but we're talking about a full board.
Right.
True. I was elected on this.
So but that's what I'm saying is we only had elections of that when someone had stepped down, and it went to it went to everyone's position, ended up either changing or staying the same, versus like one person steps down, we go to elect for that. We just kind of automatically did everyone then and there.
Okay.
So we should probably have something outlined. I mean, I know it says that was it the 10 days before the final meeting. But we should have, I think, something stated in there to the effect of we will have maybe this month, like say November, is putting in your hat into the ring and then holding kind of like not primaries, but forums or whatever to plead your case, and then we officially vote by December. Because we definitely want to make sure that we're not going into the holiday season back to back holidays and everything else.
So how would it work for this then? So would we?
Can I just speak real quick? No, you're supposed to go around in order so everybody gets a turn to speak. It's parliamentary procedure. So Keith got to speak. Keith got to speak. You got to speak. We go around so everybody gets a chance to speak.
All right, go ahead.
I just wanted to say it clearly states what the procedure is. We were there at the subcommittee meeting. We did it. The only problem is we didn't do it before the end of the year because half of us didn't read the bylaws fully. So there's no reason. Like, I just don't understand why we're going to change the bylaws now after we already went through a whole meeting of 8 hours basically of subcommittees talking about the bylaws.
Wait, can you explain what you mean? Because right now the only thing that it says nominations officers will be as needed, but no less than 10 days before the final meeting. And then it says the new elected officer will take office January 1st of the following year. So, but what I'm saying is that we should have, I think, a more defined process versus as needed basis, but no less than 10 days before the final meeting. So if we have it standardized, and yes, up till now it's been as needed with constant turnover for whatever the reasons are, I'm just saying besides the as needed, that's kind of a broad and not really something that we're saying, hey, we have a document that outlines how we're going to do things, but the one thing that we really do need defined, it just says as needed. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. If we put in an official, okay, November is nomination month, and then no later than like it says, no later than the final meeting, which would be December, to be elected. So that would still jive with what we have here. However, it's more outlined and detailed.
Brandon raised his hand.
Who?
Brendan raised his hand, so I think he would like to respond to that.
I would like to give anybody else a chance who wanted to speak. I already spoke, but every other board that I'm on isn't dysfunctional in this way. We nominate a person at the board meeting at the beginning of the year, and we elect new chairs. Every other board that I'm on. I don't know why we have to have a month-long campaign for somebody to run for a chair position of a nonprofit board.
So the only way I can answer that to you is so that way people have a chance to prepare in the event there's more than one person wanting to fill a role. And I think having someone at the last second nominate themselves, because if you want to nominate yourself for a position and you have multiple people, I think it's only fair that those 2 people or 3 people or 10 people have the ability to sit down and articulate to the rest of us to be informed to decide on who to pick. So that would be the reasoning. And again, nothing else would necessarily change because we're still abiding by January 1st. to have that person run. So that would be the answer to your question from my point of view.
He's addressing my question, so can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So to address that, that was an example. I've been on several nonprofit organization boards with medieval reenactment groups, Lions Club, Eagles, that kind of stuff. It isn't a hard, fast rule. I'm not saying you have to do it that way. I'm saying the reason they do it that way is a lot of reasons what Arthur explained is you're dealing with a volunteer base group that this is not their primary job. This is not their primary life. So it's giving them time to, read the emails, talk to the people, see if there's somebody interested. I can't even tell you how many times I've been working with people and something comes up within a month and goes through and it gets voted on, and then there's a backlash from people because they weren't paying attention. Now, that's not necessarily our fault, but that is the nature of non-profit organizations. So when I was saying a month thing, I was using it as an example. Now, we can do whatever time limit we want. That is our prerogative. But I was just using that as an example because that is pretty much the norm for a lot of the nonprofits I've worked with in the past.
Plus, we typically only meet once a month on a normal basis anyway, so...
To answer your earlier question, how this one would work, this one would actually retro back to the first. Since we're late in the elections, this term would retro back to the first of the year. Okay. I think. Am I wrong on that one? For those that know,
I don't understand what you're.
I would say it would just go until the next election.
We would follow the procedure correctly the next time.
Right.
Whereas this time we're just trying to do our due diligence and follow our bylaws as best as we can.
Right. I think this is honestly, before this board, I don't even think we actually had a sit down like we did to address bylaws. We've had people who took it upon themselves to do it. But I think this is the first time I can recall in 3 years that we actually had a reading of the bylaws where everyone was on the same page and was able to understand it to their best abilities and have a conversation that was productive on it. So,
yeah. I just want to point out one thing, that it seems that this Article 8 is basically saying 10 days, minimum 10 days before that final board meeting, get your shit together, and we can do it the week before. I mean, the meeting before if we want, but somebody just has to stay on top of it. I think is we have never done that. And my other thing is the previous board, and this is no offense to you, Arthur, but was so dysfunctional from my experience in watching them work over 2 years. And that's not reflective of you at all, Arthur. But I think that there's just, I would go to board meeting after board meeting, and people would be like, "Yeah, we're going to do it," and then they never did it. This board has been so much more responsive, and I'm really appreciative and happy that we're working together to propel Papa forward, and so.
So again, back to what Eric was saying, and what I think would be beneficial to us just to solidify is that we say that we, at the least, if you want to say 10 days before the final board meeting, then we should have, nominations the month before, to keep it consistent and keeping it within what would be the next day of business. Because that's the way I look at it. If we have meetings once a month, officially, that's just like saying the one day before we have nominations. You know what I mean? And it allows a little bit of time to.
Brendan, you had something else? Or sorry,
Brendan.
Oh no, I'm just saying that it says minimum of 10 days, so it could be 2 months before. You could say, "Hey, I want to run." You could say it now that you want to run for next year. It's a minimum of 10 days.
Okay, so we don't have to make the change. I just wanted to point out that there wasn't anything. I didn't feel there was anything solid. It's all. Some of the bylaws, I don't like the wording of them, but we've changed some of them based on that. But that's neither here nor there. I'm okay with how we set up the bylaws.
Mr. President, can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
As the vice president for Papa TV, as everybody knows, or if they don't know, I'm stepping down from president. So
Vice
at this
President.
point, there need to be somebody put in place for me to be received as the new vice president. I'm stepping down because I've been in for 3 years and I've held my post for 3 years, which is by bylaws, I'm supposed to be done after 3 years. Plus, I have issues with my wife and different things like that. So at this time, from what I'm hearing, is that whoever goes into my spot won't be tagged for 3 years. That will just be they'll be in, and then they're following. If they get it for the next time, they'll have 3 years after that. Is that correct?
Right. So since you
No.
It's not
Terms
3-year
are
term.
1 year long. You can serve up to three
3
terms
years.
before having to step down once.
Okay.
Terms are not 3 years; they're 1 year.
You have to be
And-
reelected every
Up to three-
time.
No, but what he's saying is that whoever takes over, they're filling in for his term.
Well, not if we're doing full elections right now, though. You know what I'm saying? If he's
Right.
yeah.
No, right. But what
And
he's
anybody can run, for my position for vice president. So
Right.
correct.
that is an open call. So
Correct. Okay, so I got kind of thrown off for where we're at. So where are we at here now? Okay, 'cause that's new stuff.
Since we're not going to change any of the bylaws right now, and everything else seemed to be good, I'm going to retract my last question. So
you're gonna retract last question. So,
We make a motion to accept the new bylaws.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
Second that motion.
Official motion to change that. Then there was just topic
No,
of discussion.
that was just the topic of
Okay.
discussion.
So, is there a motion to adopt the new bylaw additions from the subcommittee meeting? Or
I think Eric just made it, didn't he?
special meeting.
Yeah, I'll make the
Special meeting.
motion to accept the revised bylaws as our new standard for public.
Okay.
Second it.
Brendan seconds. Anyone oppose? Okay, so that passes. So we will put that in as a new bylaw with the addition to the bottom of as of that date, like in the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect.
It's already there. Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to be.
Hold on, Jeff. Jeff, you're not no longer vice president right now. You're vice chair because we just passed the bylaws.
sorry, I'm resigning from vice chair. Yeah.
That
Yeah,
happens at the end of the meeting.
That's at the end of the meeting.
That's at the end of the meeting, Mr. Vice Chair. So
He's
just
getting
hold
ahead.
on to your
Okay.
seat.
probably going to have to play him like Darth Vader music or something on his exiting.
So, okay, that brings us to transparency and board meeting posted to.
I think that's silence.
Yeah, it was multiple people, but we talked about posting.
I gotta run to the restroom real quick, but you guys have at it. I'll be right back.
We've talked about better transparency and posting our board meeting video recordings to YouTube or wherever we plan to do that. I mean, that was something that somebody mentioned as they wanted to talk about in a regular meeting. I think Arthur said that actually.
And just to let you guys know, I fully intend, once we get up and running, since we'll be able to do a lot more streaming out to social media from one central location, to taking care of that onto YouTube.
We've done that in the past, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Right. There's a lot of. We can only do meetings. By the way, we actually can't stream TV live through YouTube because the moment somebody puts on a song that is they see as copyrighted, they shut our channel down. We tried to do that to the website before. So, but little things like the meeting and stuff like that. I mean, there's no problem sending it out social media. There's going to be a lot more care taken in that with the revised everything coming up, I think.
So, are we going to make a motion then to make this practice going forward?
I make a motion to upload any videos that we have and any future videos to a YouTube page to increase transparency and pop-up board meetings.
Of board governance. Like what specifically?
Just the board meetings.
Okay.
I second that.
I mean, and the work sessions too. Might as well put the work sessions up there.
Sure.
And it was seconded and thirded. So now all we have to do is have Arthur clear it. Hurry up. Oh, Lord. Pinch it off.
My name?
There he is.
Put that seal back on. Come on.
I've been working all day.
It's a baby gate, Arthur. It's not that
Yeah, right?
difficult.
There's 2 of them, and I have the dog trying to kill me.
Okay, don't worry about it. Here, come here.
Okay, so what did I miss, and what about my name?
So Brendan proposed that we move forward with the transparency of board meetings on YouTube. So we record and post them all, and our committee meetings. And it was seconded by me and somebody else.
Okay, so anyone opposed? Okay, so that passes. We will be transparent in putting meetings posted to YouTube and or Pop or Facebook and wherever else the motion was for.
See,
Is YouTube.
YouTube. Okay. So Papa Amazon Prime account. Well, didn't we already
No,
discuss?
that's
I
the
wanted
front.
to put to the board to pay
Can you
for
guys hear
Prime
her from back there?
Yeah.
from not only having the Amazon account, but also signing up for Prime because it's something that we pay for. I didn't want to just do it. I wanted to make sure it was an authorized expense. You told me to bring it to the board.
I actually think we had that like two meetings ago
No.
or 3. I
You
remember
told me to bring it to the board this week.
Yeah, we talked about it in a special meeting, but said we had to discuss it in.
Had to,
Oh,
the board.
Okay.
I will definitely second that. So, or actually make the motion. Yeah, I'll make the motion to pop a Prime account. It makes sense. We'll save money in the long run.
Okay. So
And get your faster.
Yes.
so you made the motion with second.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, so you can knock out 2 birds, 1 stone. Do both the card and the Prime, and keep us posted on that.
Eric, can you make paper towel, please?
Okay.
Before we move on to the next thing, because I forgot, we got another check from the city that got deposited, and I also paid for our insurance for the year, which was like $2,700. Forgot to mention that earlier. Sorry.
Shauna, when that what was it, March or was it February? The budget report did not include the down payment on the equipment, right?
Yes, it did.
Oh, it did. Okay.
I'll have to look at it. I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Go circle back to that.
It should. Did the report include the money from the down payment on the equipment? It should have.
It should have.
Okay.
Yeah,
It came out of
because
QuickBooks.
it came out, but then we got another
Oh
check.
yeah,
like,
then we got
right
another
after
city
that.
check.
Ah.
So
okay.
that's why, yeah, we did. She didn't mention that the
Yeah.
right after we made the $11,000 payment, we got an $8,100 check from the city. So
Cool.
that was nice timing.
Okay, so
Hey, go on.
okay now D membership. Whose was that?
I know the finance committee has been talking about this. I had this added for a couple of reasons. First of all, I had made some suggestions. Second of all, I have got to get something up on the website when I get it up there, when I revise the website. So I don't know if anybody had the chance. I want to take a minute to discuss this. If anybody had the chance to look at the membership options I had put up there.
Referring to the email.
Yes, I sent out an email that had 4 different things on there for membership. Okay, so the first was membership in and of itself, which was $50 a year. It talks about giving them access to Papa apps, which, by the way, for Darian's benefit, I can take up there. He says that everybody, since we're public access, everybody should have access to our apps. They will have. It's just all about the wording. I'm just trying to make it sound good. As far as, I'm just saying they have access to it. Not that we're going to give them access. They would have access to our editing machines, 10% off special classes, airing of personal shows, which are anything created outside of the station using personal equipment that had to be pre-screened and approved. And the reason being is because, and I had this conversation with somebody, a potential member coming back, we're not going to air anything discriminatory, hateful, anything like that goes against the community. We will not do it. I don't care if you're paying your fees. You can't pay your fees, and I'm not going to air a show about the KKK. It's not happening. With your personal show, you can get up to 2 hours of airtime during the month, and access to our subcommittees. That's a basic membership that I'm saying that we offer for $50 a year. With that, I had also put out there the family plan. Now, with the family plan, it's if you have if you have somebody in your household that is already a member in good standing. Okay, and I kind of took this idea a little bit from the YMCA. Then to bring in a secondary family member from that same household, it would cost $25 a year. For a third member, it'd be $25 more a year, so on and so forth. That way, we actually encourage more people out of one household to join us as members than we do charging them each individual membership cost like that. We're working with them on like a bulk price. And again, it's basically the exact same thing as the membership. We're just giving them a bit of a discount because they're in the same household as somebody else who's in good standing. So instead of $50 out of that one household, we'd be getting $75 out of that household, or we'd be getting $100 out of the household, or whatever, however many family members sign up.
Are we saving our comments to the end, or can I say something?
Okay, go ahead.
If it's just going to be for, you have your member in good standing and you have one additional household member, I think we should call it something other than the family plan, because you're not covering, the whole family or everybody that would be in the household. It's just one other person. And I think that if you're going to have a family plan, there needs to be a price that would be so much for everyone in your household. So, like, yes, it would be this plan if you were a good standing member and I wanted to join, we would pay an extra $25. So now we want a family plan because you, me, and Kalis want to be members, so it would be this price instead of just the additional $25.
So are you saying like a maximum of like $100 in case you have like a family of 10, 15 kids?
Well, you could say like $100 for a family plan, and then this includes X amount of people. I mean, obviously, it's not, if it's going to be like 15, 20 people, you don't want to just charge them $100 for the entire household. But I don't think that having one other person other than the good standing member constitutes a family plan. Sorry, Eric.
Well, that's fine. Again, these were suggestions, guys, that I'm bringing to you. I like hearing the comments. Again, I'm not on the finance board. This was my comments because I'm trying to get the ball rolling here. Some of these things I have gotten ideas from other PEG stations. Some of these ideas I've got, like I said, that idea I got off of the YMCA. The next part is a complete upgrade. The suggestion I had was the producer plan. Not everybody who becomes a member of Papa is going to want to use our studio. And I feel that charging the same price for somebody who's never going to walk into our studio versus somebody who utilizes it a lot, I mean, I don't think that's right. I think the producer plan, having it be like $100 a year, which gives the same thing as as members, but now we're giving them access to our studio, which they get, and it sounds like a lot, but if you break it down, it's 40 hours of studio time, which is 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, if it's available. And time does not roll over per month. So you're not going to say, oh, hey, I only used X amount of time last month. Well, sorry about your luck.
This is literally what we discussed at the finance.
Access, or you get 4 hours a week airtime, and producers actually would be able to get their shows on prime time, which is 6 to 10, 6 to 11, which is our prime time slots. It gives just a little bit more for somebody who's going to be utilizing our equipment, our space, versus somebody who's just a member who may do their own videos and their own stuff and bring it into us. Like we have Dennis Fenton, who does his own stuff and brings it to Papa all the time. And I know Life's Journeys with Ralph, he was filming them in his office and sending them to Papa. They're sending us their own stuff off their own equipment. I don't feel they need to pay the same price as somebody who's utilizing our equipment, our studio all the time. And that's why I made this a step up and an option as a suggestion. And the last one that I had brought up was the business one. Obviously, I said, $300 a year. It can cover up to 4 employees, which, by the way, is $100 more towards us if they're regular members. It's $100 less if they're all producers. It's just kind of like the in between. It gives all the same things as before with access to the studio, 56 hours of studio time instead of 40 per month, which also gives them the 7-day stretch. They can book a couple hours on the weekend. 4 hours a week airtime, primetime slots, creation of PSAs, which we will help them create, as well as showing of their PSAs up to 10 times a week. There's a lot of spots to fill with PSAs. That's a great thing to do. So those are my suggestions to the board. I don't mind revisions. I don't mind. There's been no committee meetings really been able to meet because of time constraints. And that's actually about to affect me if I'm supposed to set up our website and go like, we don't have membership fees, So this is something that I feel that the board should vote on. Go ahead, Silas.
So we don't really have equipment, and the studio is not super usable at the moment. So I think these fees and this structure is good, but we need to talk about an interim membership maybe, and then expand it once we can offer these things.
Well, like the regular membership one that I had offered up, it's the same membership price we were charging before, $50 a year.
Actually, weren't we charging $75 a year?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
$50 a year.
Brennan raised his hand.
Yeah, I like some of these suggestions a lot. I think the breakdown in some of the times availability and things like that. I like the classes, the different classes of membership. My concern is that it's a little overly complicated in some areas. I think a simplification, and maybe instead of a yearly membership, maybe instead of $50 a year, it's $5 a month per member. So try to get them more on a kind of a subscription model, and then also tiered the way that you have them tiered.
So I would like to comment on that. I don't think a monthly subscription for us, especially right now, is a good idea. I mean, it's hard enough to accomplish everything that we have going on with tracking monthly payments, and I don't think $50 is a lot to pay for. And I think if someone is down on their luck enough to where they need to finance, we could be open to it, or even grant them a sponsorship like we've had in the past. But I think going on to monthly for a $50 payment as a member, I think that's a stretch. But
We have memberships currently suspended, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Well, it's,
Until after COVID.
Right.
Right.
Okay. I do understand.
that
that
will
for,
be
for the
forever.
future. I was just
so hold on now.
Just saying that's what we said in the board meeting.
But wasn't it based on the stages of where we're at?
The crisis, the COVID crisis, as
Right.
we had stated.
So as
State of
we're
emergency is
now-
lifted.
Right.
So
yeah. That was just clarifying. That's all.
right. So since we're
Quit trying to make COVID great again.
I
Shut
know
up.
something.
So doesn't that mean we should be adjusting to going back to collecting memberships?
Only once we get a membership fee structure in place.
No, right. But
Wait.
I'm saying based on the current stage of the economy opening back up,
Right.
right? We
Right.
should be looking at relinquishing the free memberships and starting to collect.
With us being in phase 2 now, and we as a area are down into moderate and not high, and we have held that for the last 3 weeks. I think it's the perfect time to do it. The numbers are going down. I watch the numbers every day. The numbers are going down, and we're cranking out COVID vaccines, and even the CDC is saying that once you've had both your shots, yeah, be a little bit safe, but you're good to go right now.
It's 94%.
And we've only had 30 cases in the last 75 days. Or wait, no, that's wrong.
Okay, well, we don't need to.
Anyway,
So
yeah.
it still doesn't answer my question. We don't have a space to offer. We don't offer classes. We don't really have equipment to rent out. And so, what are you getting for $50 or $300?
So the minimum. Hold on. So the regular membership basically grants you the use of the computer and submitting your shows. Basically, is what it allows you to do.
Do we have an editing computer in there?
Yes, we have like
With-
three of
with
them.
2 or 3. Yeah.
We have 3 editing computers in the.
So yeah, while the studio is not per se fancy looking, I mean it's still usable. To answer your question.
I would love to come in and see what's usable because I have not seen anything that's usable when I've been in there. And if you were going to do tours, you better have that ready to go to show people what's going on.
Right, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do my step of stepping up the making the studio more professional looking.
I'm all for
starting
that.
next month. So, but my biggest problem is if we're going to be doing anything membership wise, I mean, unless we are until the studio gets better, continuing to offer free membership.
I'm all for $50 across the board until we are ready to say, here are the perks. So sorry, go ahead.
Well, hold on a second. Did Brendan have it up, or is that still the same one?
I don't know.
I apologize. I'm good.
So then, Shauna, go ahead.
Okay, so all good arguments about the membership fees. However, as the treasurer, if we are going to start spending $1,250 a month for this new equipment, we've got to start charging something. We've got to have money coming in, and just the money from the city ain't going to do it.
Well, it will, but just
At
barely.
$1,250 a month, we're going to burn through what we have coming in awfully fast, which isn't going to leave room for much else.
Right. It'll do it. We're just going to be tight.
Right, and we shouldn't be prolonging free memberships. I mean, at the very least, it's a lot of people look at it as the way that they also donate. So,
Can I make a motion on this, guys? Going off of what Silas said.
Yeah.
Can I make a motion that we reinstate membership at $50 for the basics of airtime of your personal stuff and the use of editing stations until such time as the studio gets reworked to a professional status, and then we roll in with more pricing structure?
so look, let's backtrack for 1 second. Before COVID came, we were still doing 50 and 300, organizational and personal membership.
Right.
Those who needed to use it still had the access. So if we are going to be, Brendan, right after I'm done, you'll be next. If we're going to reopen this with accordance to coronavirus stuff, whatever, there's nothing that's going to discourage people now that didn't already discourage them before, vice versa, in terms of the rest of membership. Because right now we're only clarifying based on usage of the studio, which before no one really did. They were paying more per hour than what even the producers were paying.
Right. Back then
So
we were
that's-
charging $30
So that's
an
my
hour.
comment, Brendan, and then after that, anyone else?
I just want to revisit the. I just would revisit the idea of a subscription-based model. If we say just one membership, person wants basic membership, $5 a month. At the end of the year, they have paid $60. And if we drop the whole family membership, and there's like somebody that has 2 kids that want to do it, that's $10 a month. That's $120 a year as opposed to the $75 a year model. If people don't want to do anything and they just want to support the station, $5 a month is a very low barrier to support your public access. So I just wanted to take some time to think about that kind of modeling.
how do you propose that we track that modeling and run that through?
I've already spoken once.
All right.
So.
Okay, Silas, go ahead, and then Shauna.
Yeah, I was just saying, how do you propose that we actually enact that? Because I agree with Arthur. That's a pain in the ass. I mean, let's just make it $60 a year then.
I mean, you could just make a plugin. There's plugins that you can just put into the website to do subscription services. It's very easy.
Right, but we're also talking
Okay.
about bookkeeping, tracking, managing, and all that stuff. But go ahead, Shauna.
So at what point, if we're doing a subscription-based model, at what point do we, hey, you didn't pay your subscription this month, or hey, at what point do we become more as we're chasing down the $5 a month or whatever the amount is that we were to decide on a month because people aren't keeping up on their subscriptions and they're late, and what's the late fee going to be? And it's not just a subscription, but you got to think about all these other things that tie in with a subscription-based model.
Okay, so it's going to be Keith, then Silas again.
Okay, at this point, with your permission, because you are the head of the committee, part of the financial committee, I will start an email chain that everybody can submit their ideas through, and then we can catalog them and have them submitted to the next financial committee meeting.
Which
Does
we
it-
need to have soon.
Which we will, which we really have to have soon. Is there anybody that would be opposed to submitting their ideas to me so we can address them at a financial committee meeting?
I'm down with that.
Okay. Then I'm willing to do it if you guys are willing to do it.
Okay, on that
So,
note,
but-
until
hold
then,
on. So are you withdrawing?
I'll withdraw my motion until then and keep membership fees off the website.
Okay, but then now Silas will go ahead and make your point on.
My only point, and I'll send this to you, Keith, is this going to be you? If you signed up in June, do you have to then pay another fee in January? When anyway, we can discuss that offline.
Well, I think we've answered that before. That it will be prorated for the year if it's not a full year. But once you're signing up, it would be from
Okay.
January through December or whatever.
I'll just put down in the minutes that we're postponing this and gonna talk about it in committee.
Revisit that as old business next
Tabled and
meeting.
sent to
Committee. Yeah.
Okay. So that brings us to E, the van. So this was multiple people, but who?
I started this. So this initially started as I was going to talk about things that we can do with the van. And then I actually got into a discussion with Silas on the phone the other day. And we had a really good conversation about this. I also brought this up with Arthur. Honestly, guys, I feel that we need to make a consideration as a board to just get rid of the van. Just sell the van, put the money back into Papa. There's no reason to have it. It's literally sitting in front of my house. We're paying money for the insurance. And even if we get it up and running, which I have several options of getting it done very cheaply, but you still got to invest money like cabling. That's not cheap. That's like $2,000 out the door. It's like Silas said, who does this for a living, by the way. You got to figure out, what are we going to use the van for? We don't do live news. We don't, where are we going to park our van that we could start running the wires to? The idea of the van for Papa is great. The reality of the van for Papa is it's costing us money. And I think that money could be that we could sell the van, put the money back into the business. Hell, let's take the money from the van and put it into a fund for downstairs to start getting that set up. That's what I like. I'm totally open to discussion right now. But I think that we ought to reconsider keeping the ban. Yeah.
Okay. So, any questions or comments directed to Eric or the topic in general?
I was one of the people about the van.
Okay.
I'm okay with liquidating the van if that's an asset that we decide we don't want, but it's going to be really hard to come back from that if we turn around and change our mind on that. But my point on this whole thing is what about for like events? Like, what if we just use it for like advertising and like set up the van for like, not streaming anything, but maybe have it open so people can see our shows from pre-records in the van or something like that. Use it like a booth.
It's not a bad idea, but
Hold on,
the
hold on,
insurance.
hold on. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. Brendan, and then Eric.
Yeah, no, I'm not on Team Van. I'd say get rid of it, and actually, if we might be able to donate it and get a bigger write-off, then we would be able to sell it.
Okay.
We had bought it, I guess, from what I saw in the paperwork, we bought it for $7,500.
Yeah, 7,000 something.
Jeez.
So I mean, honestly, I feel if we got the right people talking it up, we can probably get $8,000 out of that. Everything works. It's got side lighting, a working generator, brand new batteries. It's in great condition. Plus, the inside the workspace is really nice. It's networked. It's got plugging throughout, and we just put LEDs throughout the entire thing. So,
is that Brendan? Is that still from before? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, Brendan, I concur with you. Actually, when we first had this discussion, I was actually opposed, but walked over to support the decision. I initially thought a trailer would have served better. Plus the fact that it is, the initial idea was that we would be doing it for live productions. However, after assessing the last couple of years, I mean, we really don't have anything that's going to be live. Anything that we could have in terms of sports, like with the lefties, I mean, that has kind of disappeared too. Not only the sport due to COVID, but also with our relationship. I am not opposed to getting rid of a depreciating asset. And I think if we really wanted to get rid of it, put it back into the studio for either equipment or production.
Pay off the server.
Yeah, pay out the equipment.
Pay off the automation.
I think that was used from one of the funds that said it had to be for equipment. So I don't know if it would then go back to that same fund, but regardless, the point is, I at this point, especially since I'm the only one legally able to drive the van based on the insurance, would say, try and sell it, recoup the money, maybe get a refund from insurance because it wasn't even used, especially with COVID.
They won't refund you.
They won't refund it.
No, they're going to keep their money.
It was covered for in case something happened while it was parked on the side of the road.
Yeah.
They won't refund you anything.
That's
So,
insurance.
worst case scenario, sell it, and recoup the money.
I've never gotten one bill for insurance from them too.
Silas, did you have your hand up?
I was just gonna say I'll make a motion that
Okay.
we sell the van and we cancel the insurance and we use that money to pay off our automation server. Or
Second that motion.
Not to pay it off, but to pay
Oh,
towards.
there's that motion.
Yeah.
Okay. So, using unanimous consent, any opposed? I don't think Jeff was opposed to that. So that passes. So, first thing in the morning, cancel the insurance. Wait, who was in charge of the insurance? Cancel the insurance on
Cancel
the
the
van.
insurance on the van, would you?
And then
I've only ever gotten one bill for the insurance for the entire time that I've been
that's
treasurer for $150. So as far as I know, that's all I've spent on it.
fine. Okay, that's fine, but just make sure that it's officially
I
canceled.
can't even remember who did it. I'll figure it out.
Officially cancel it. So let's put it up on blocks and
Oh,
strip
okay,
it
hold
down.
on. Hang on just a second. Do we want to cancel the insurance before we get rid of it, or do we want to leave the insurance on there in case something happens to it, because it is sitting on the side of the road, so that if we can't sell it, we recoup money somehow?
It's fine if you keep the insurance on until you sell it.
I'm
But
okay with that.
Okay,
Yeah.
Well, so let's do that. Let's take out those LEDs. If it's not too much more work that we
It's
put
going to be a
in,
pain in the
it's gonna be
butt.
a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Is it possible to
It'll
How
be
much of a
easy.
pain
Just
in the
have
butt?
Kalis do it.
I'll ask Kalos because
Okay.
he's the one that did it.
if it can take out whatever we put in, so that was just what it was.
But they were specific LEDs bought for the van. What will we do with them? We're going to hang them on Keith?
yes, If it's doable, do it. If it's not, just get it back to selling condition.
Okay.
So that passes. Insurance till the van sells. After that, cancel the insurance.
On that same note, do we want to designate somebody as the board to try to see if we can't get rid of the van? I mean, how are we going to handle that?
Yeah.
Who's our Facebook poster?
Silas and I.
Okay, then the two of you can put on Marketplace. Take
Yeah, I'll
pictures.
take. I can take some pictures, or Eric, you can take some pictures, or whatever you
I'll
want.
take the pictures
To get them to you, okay?
Find out the value of the generator, because again, this is kind of a spec van. So we'll have to have the price of the van, as in just the van, and then minus whatever stuff that we have in there to take out that value, or to add in to the cost of the value.
Is the generator
So-
working?
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh God, it works great. Yeah.
Yeah, when it was so hot, they were sitting out there in the van with the generator. Right
Yeah,
now.
when it was super hot outside, we had the generator running and the AC going. We were good. That's about the most that van's been used for in the last 2 years.
So, well, no, there's no further discussion. We already had that pass. So we will move on to F, anniversary.
Yeah, I as I brought up the fact that I don't know whether Papa wants to do anything for the 5-year anniversary. I mean, 5 years is actually a hell of a milestone. I just wanted to bring it up and make sure that everybody was aware that March 11th, Peninsula Area Public Access officially became a business, and that makes this their 5-year anniversary. So I didn't know if we wanted to try to do something or if we're just going to let it slide by. That's the whole reason I brought it in.
Silas, go ahead.
I think we should let it slide by and focus on being more functional.
Okay.
So I think if anything, we should maybe put out a little blurb on Facebook and maybe do a little cutesy video if anyone has the time to do it like we did before.
Okay.
To post that to Facebook, YouTube, blah, 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 TV, blah, 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 just to celebrate it in that way. Any other discussion revolving around that topic? Okay, so we'll move on to G, board executive nominations. So now we have 2 parts to that topic. So that was Brendan, I believe, who brought that one up, right?
Yeah, Brendan.
Okay, Brendan, go ahead.
Yeah, no, just we didn't nominate our executive positions prior to the end of the year, and I think it's a good idea to go ahead and get that straightened out with our new chair or re-elected chair, or new vice chair, re-elected chair, or whoever wants to nominate somebody or nominate themselves to step up. This is the time that we should do it and get started on getting on the right path to do it at the end of this year.
So are we talking about for next year?
We're talking about right now until the 10 days prior to January.
So for this, okay. So, well, I would like to continue to finish this year. I have stated that at the end of the year, regardless of, I will be stepping down as president. I may be stepping down from the board depending on how things continue on in my personal life, but at the very least, I will be stepping down at the end of the year as president for sure. But I would like to continue to see to the end of this year.
Are we electing today, tonight? Or just
Well, I guess so. Yeah, based on.
Are we electing tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Are you done?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Are you done?
With Jeff stepping down, I wanted to put in my hat for vice president. Just because I'm working at this hard all the time. That's all I do, for the most part. And if we've got a chance to step up, I'd like to step up.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'd like to stay as treasurer through the end of the term at least.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Brendan.
Sorry, I'd like to step up and nominate myself as chair. I think that I offered a lot of things this year that we went by. I think I could bring like the procedural side of it. I think that we're working hard on getting that done. I brought up a lot of suggestions this year that we followed through on that worked out very well. I think for our nonprofit. So yeah, I would like to stand up to be chair, and I think that I could bring more of that.
Okay, so we have 2 for chair.
One over, but yeah, 2 for chair.
One for staying in the current position. Eric was putting in for vice. Anyone else for any position? Okay, Silas.
Yeah, I don't mind staying, nominating myself again for treasurer, or not treasurer, secretary.
Okay. And Keith, you have your hand up.
I was gonna see if I can move over lateral into information technology since I'm gonna be more on site working with the servers and that stuff. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, can we come up with the official title for Keith to be IT manager? Is what he would like to do.
Well, it's not an executive position.
Yeah, we can put that in as
It's not executive. It's not
next
executive.
meeting. Titles for positions.
It's fine.
Okay, so
Bubbles
Okay.
is my stripper.
so Brendan, go ahead. You have your hand up.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. So is Eric putting himself up for vice chair and also co-treasurer still? Is that still a thing?
I'm
Yeah.
not technically co-treasurer.
You just make some phone calls during the day for me when I can't. Not really doing anything other than sitting there and watching me pay bills and stuff.
He's just the assistant to the regional
He's
vice
just helping
treasurer.
me out.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, he's just helping her out. There's no actual official title for that. We just designated that
Being
for
a nice
poking the bear.
husband.
So we have 2 for chair, 1 for vice chair, 2 for remaining in their respective chairs. So that means, are we going to, reverse order and go by those to remain? I guess I would say.
Should we work our way up?
Yeah, work your way up.
Hey, I'm going to raise my hand. Excuse me. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's any advisory or if I could sit on a committee or something, but I do think I got a lot of ideas and fresh perspectives that I could bring in some sort of capacity. So if there's any way I can help out, let me know.
Yes, we do open the committees to the public to sit in on, and I don't think you have to be voted in for anything to be partaking in that.
No, you just have to be a member, which is automatic right now.
Yeah, which right.
Maxwell, there's a list of the committees on the website, and if you have trouble finding it, just let me know.
Is that still up on
Yep.
the website?
Thank you.
Okay.
And
It's under board of directors.
yeah, if you are interested in sitting on any of those committees, feel free to just let Eric know.
Sounds good. Thanks.
So we will start with secretary, I guess. I don't know. I'm not trying to make it sound.
That's fine.
I don't know.
Just start with treasurer.
Treasurer?
Ladies first.
Okay, ladies first. Treasurer. Anyone opposed to Shauna's remaining on as the treasurer? Okay, congratulations! Yay! Okay, so secretary. Does anyone oppose for Silas remaining the secretary? Yay, Silas! Okay, so now for vice chair, we have Eric, and he's running unopposed. Does anyone oppose to Eric being the vice chair?
Totally.
So Keith is opposed to.
No, I'm not.
We don't listen to Keith anyway.
Okay.
Keith's supposed he has to run for treasurer.
Is there no longer I want to be executive director or station manager, or are you going to hold those both of those roles dually?
As I had made the statement before, I know a lot of people have been pushing for the executive director spot, and trying to get money to help the family, which I appreciate. Papa is in no place to do that right now. So over this next year, I would like to stay on as my station manager and in there, push Papa where it needs to be. And if we get to the point that somebody can be paid to work there, then we can discuss the executive director part. But we're not anywhere near, and we haven't been each time we've talked about it, and that's why I had to just toss it off the agenda.
Does that answer your question, Brendan? Or
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So, is anyone opposed to Eric filling the role as vice chair?
I'm opposed to it. I said I'm opposed. I'm voicing my opposition.
Oh, you're voicing your opposition? Okay. So,
Yeah, right.
Brendan voices his opposition, so that is 6. No opposed. Passes. Eric, yay! You're the vice chair. Okay, so that brings to the chair. So you guys have to decide between Brendan and myself. Do we want to open up a questioning Brandon, like a forum? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay, so does anyone have any questions for either Brendan or myself in regards to us policy or whatever? It's first time going on the fly. Silas.
This is to both of you. What is your vision for the next year for Papa?
Brendan? Okay, Brendan, go first.
No, you can go first. You're the sitting chair.
Okay. So my vision is pretty much the same as it has been up till now. Once the lockdowns are ended, I want to get us going back into production and getting events set up, as well as what we were talking about with classes, having Eric start that. Basically, I want to continue on my vision as the community part of Papa. We have, for the most part, the broadcast part down, the membership part down. It's just a matter of, from what we're looking to accomplish, my goal is to continue to focus on the event and community part, getting those things set up to get it more out there and more people engaged with Papa. In terms of within the building and the scope of Papa, that's going to be based on our budget and what we're able to focus on in terms of getting grants or donations. But I would like to also focus this year on cleanup of the studio to make it, depending on our budget, whether it's no budget, but just to get it cleaned up and open to where it is accessible and usable and clean standard. So that's it. Brendan, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I want to stabilize revenue. I want to focus on our plan moving forward. I want to expand partners with. I would like to bring in some tribal people, like really get high performing partnerships going. I want Papa to be seen again as a community member, a respectful team player, and yeah, I just want to keep moving forward. With our progress that we made this year. I suggested a lot of suggestions this year over the year, and we implemented a lot of those, and they've worked out really well for us. So I'd like to continue that as chair.
Okay, so let's see. Hold on one second, Silas. Are we going to offer a one-part rebuttal if someone wants to rebuttal past the statement or whatever?
Can I ask a question?
Jeff, yes, but just a second.
Okay.
So it looks like we will offer one rebuttal per question. Okay. I don't have any rebuttals. Brendan, if you want to say anything in addition.
I don't have any rebuttals.
Okay. So then Silas.
Jeff can go. Jeff can go.
Okay, Jeff, go ahead, and then Silas, if you.
Okay. Now, for anybody running for president, is there any conflict in the position you hold where you're at? Just like you are, Brandon, is there any conflict from the city council to hold the spot as president? I mean, as chair, sorry.
Yeah, I'd love to answer this, Jeff, because this also got brought up before. So the city and the nonprofit are two separate entities. The chair of Clallam Transportation is Lindsay Schwarmer-Warman. He is a city councilor. The chair of the Department of Health is Navarra Carr. She's a city councilor. Just because you take on the role as a chair for a nonprofit or an organization doesn't mean that the city is thereby controlling that entity.
Okay, so that means there's no conflict involved in there.
Correct. And if there was, like, say, it would come up to renegotiating the contract, I would have to recuse myself from that particular vote.
Okay.
And I think it's really important to have, the procedural part of our nonprofit in order as well.
Oh yeah, it's just good to know that there isn't a conflict, in the interest of Papa, so. Okay, go ahead.
And let me I just want to clearly state too that my running for or nominating myself for this position is in no way reflect to Arthur. Arthur stepped up in a time that we needed somebody to step up, and I appreciate all the work that Arthur's done so far.
Thank you, Brendan, for that. I don't have any conflicts, Jeff. And again, to be open, Brendan did contact me about the position. That we didn't discuss when it would be. Actually, I don't recall if we set a time that we were going to do a vote, but I did tell him that I don't mind him running against me, and that I did plan on stepping down at the end of this year, either way. So again, I feel fine with Brendan leading if that's what the board wants, but I would like to continue this year. Any further questions to the candidates?
I want to thank you very much, both of you, for offering up your information so I have a better look at what's going on.
Silas, you did have your hand up before when Jeff went, so did you have any?
I'll withdraw my question, and I'm ready to vote whenever you guys want to.
Okay.
How are we voting? Are we like going around the room and saying who's voting for who, or?
Yeah, we could take a roll call vote.
That's fine. I was just curious.
Okay, so procedurally, I've never done this, so with the wording or how we should do this is escaping me, but I guess all in.
Arthur, we're going to go around to each person, and that person's going to say yay or nay, or who they want to vote. So that's the roll call vote.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Can't say clockwise. So, okay. How about I'm going to start in this room clockwise, and then I'll go to the screen that I'm seeing clockwise. Sound good with everyone?
Sure.
All right. Donna.
Arthur.
Keith.
Arthur.
Eric.
Arthur.
And then we got Silas.
Brendan.
Brendan. Obviously going to vote. Come on.
Oh, yeah, myself.
Yes, there you go. Thank you. Jeff.
Arthur.
And Darian.
Arthur.
Okay, so that is 2 to 5. Right? 2 to 5. We did the math right? Okay. And I vote for myself. So with that, I remain chair to the end of this year, December, which we will have to then do this once again unless someone steps down. Yay, Arthur!
Yay!
Okay, so that brings us to I, which was
Brendan's issue.
oh, okay, that's right. Brendan, the email chain of events, take it away.
Right. So this morning at 7:45 a.m., I had received an email. I didn't get it actually until 9 a.m. I could read it, but everybody's probably already wrote it. I took issue with it.
Let me just stop right there. Did everyone have a chance to read the email?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
I had issue with it. I called Eric. I said, Eric, what are you doing? Why did you put out this email? On behalf of the board, Eric said he can do what he wants. He's asking a question. He doesn't have to bring it to the board. My concern was with it was addressed to the city, asking about FCC regulations. I don't know if Eric has more knowledge about FCC regulations than on the surface knowledge or just reading through it. I don't want to assume anything. But I had to go. I couldn't stay on the phone and talk to him any longer after he was telling me that I did not basically that he could do whatever he wants. Then I went ahead and forwarded the letter that he wrote to the rest of the board, so the rest of the board could read the letter. I then replied to Eric and pulled in Nathan West, city manager, and Greg King, the power manager, I think his title actually is. Saying that I think it was a mix-up, that as a representative from the city to Papa, like these things probably should have been addressed to me, and definitely gone over with the board. I didn't put that in the letter. Eric, and then I said all the things that wonderful things about Papa and how great Papa is and how much we look forward to it. Eric then wrote another letter, and in this letter personally attacked me in multiple places. I don't know into who he's referring to when he says that I am not in this for personal or political gain like others. He told me to grow up. I found these highly unprofessional, something that I'm not used to dealing with Eric in that fashion, and I found it very aggressive. So that's my problem with it.
I really need to go first on this.
Okay, is this in pertaining on how we should be proceeding? Is
Yes.
this what you were going to say? Okay, I'm going to let Keith go.
I wasn't here, so I had. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Okay. So I like both of you guys. This has nothing to do with you guys on a personal level. This is just literally a procedural thing I'm going to say. There's something called grievance procedure, and I'll put it up on the emails after this meeting. But essentially, anytime there is a situation where you might not necessarily agree with something, there's and it has the potential to escalate really quickly, or just in general. There's a step-by-step procedure that you're supposed to follow. The first one is talk to the person, which Brenda did. But the second step is to immediately talk to, if you can't resolve it at the person level, is to immediately go to the supervisor level. That was not followed. It was taken to email, where it just became mudslinging. And so in the future, we really need to follow the procedure, or we wouldn't even be having this discussion right now. And I will, like I said, I will be putting those up on the email after this meeting.
Okay, so what are those processes with where we are at now? Because I know you have a lot more experience than anyone else on the board. I don't mean to...
Well, we kind of jumped it. So it starts off with talk to the person that you have the issue with. If you can't resolve it at that level, talk to their immediate superior with them present, so you guys can resolve that. If you can't do that, talk to the superior by themselves, talk to the peers, and work your way up until you're at the top. And if you get to the top and you don't get a resolution, that's pretty much it. But the fact is that what it does is it allows for the transparency and the ability for people to work on that on a certain level, where when emotions are elevated and stuff like that, you're still able to get your point across. Because I've seen really dumb things make people that were really good friends not friends anymore, because rather than following the procedure, they just jumped and said, okay, I need to talk to this guy because it's important. He needs to know right now, because he needs to understand this is going on because this reason. But the fact of the matter is that it denies the opportunity for the person on the other end to make amends. So,
okay.
No.
So wait, I'm going to let, is it a question or a statement or?
A statement and an opinion about what had happened.
Okay, so I'm gonna let Eric say his side first, and then we'll open it up to everyone else, just
Okay.
to make it fair, I guess.
Okay, so
Eric, go ahead.
on my end, pretty much what I was feeling at that time did go out in that email I sent to the board, and I will tell you why. Okay, and here's how this went this morning. I had spent 3 days because I had had a conversation with Arthur. He had mentioned the fact of finding more revenue through ways of advertising. I went, I wonder why we can't advertise on this channel. So I spent 3 days going through FCC regulations based on peg channels on why we couldn't advertise. Come to find out, there are no rules stating that you cannot run advertisements or commercials. That is that the FCC sets. That is based off your area. Hold on, before I get this wrong, let me state this. This is it is based off your local franchise authority. Okay, they're the ones that set the rules. Now, I found the statement in our contract, which I went through, or the contract with between Wave and the city, that made the statement that we're not supposed to run commercials. That's fine, but it's still up to the local franchise authority. So I reached out. Greg is my contact. He himself and Nathan himself have both told me on several occasions, Greg is my contact for questions I have about the franchise agreement. So I reached out to Greg. Now I tagged Nathan and Brendan in this email because Greg has a tendency not to answer his emails. So that's why they were tagged in it. I asked the question about if this is true, what can we do to lift the ban on commercials? Okay. The fact being that, okay, if we can do commercials, then I can come to the board and say, hey guys, guess what? Now we have another revenue stream. Worst case scenario, he would have told me, no, we just can't do it at all. Okay, fine. We'd have just stuck with PSAs. All right. But I asked my question. And the next thing I know, I received a phone call from Brendan, who out the gate said, dude, okay. He's like, dude, what the fuck? What's going on? Why are you sending this email like this? He came off very aggressive on the phone call. I'm trying to explain myself. And he's like, no, wait a minute. We can't do that because if we do commercials, it's gonna step away our nonprofit. I'm like, no. That has nothing to do with nonprofit groups. You can make money as a nonprofit group and stay as a nonprofit group. I've started to explain this. Brandon's like, I've got to get off the phone. I can't say this. We'll talk about this later, and got off. Okay, well, now I'm a little mad, which, by the way, I called and vented to Arthur about. But I was cool with it. And then I immediately, following our phone call to somebody who was busy and couldn't finish talking to me, I got the forwarded email to the board, which I don't care. I didn't care. The board needed it. I also, he also wrote to the city apologizing for my email. Okay, now, granted, on my email to the city, I said, I'm asking, and in my words, I'm asking on behalf of the board and our organization. Was my words in there? Okay, the board asks me all the time, to find ways to expand, to make money, to whatever we can do for Papa. Okay, the board asks me to do this. So I make my emails, I make my phone calls, and whatever I've got to do. And yes, I'm asking on behalf of the board a simple question. I'm not making a statement that we're going to do anything. I'm asking for the organization. It had nothing to do with me. And I shouldn't have to wait for a board meeting to ask the board if I can ask a question like this on a topic that I was trying to find out whether or not to bring to the board. Okay? That's what I was upset about. But then to go right after we got done talking and saying that he apologizes for the mix-up in the email for me, that I should have went through him, there is nothing stated that I have to go through Brandon as the member of the city council to talk to any of my contacts, whether it be Nathan West or Greg King. to try to do my job. So that's where the aggressiveness had come from. Now, I will tell everybody on the board here that had Brendan got a hold of me and stated, hey, Eric, dude, okay, so what are you trying to do? Or if he said, in the future, when you reach out to them, is there a way that we can work together or I can talk to them because I have more sway or more contact? That's fine. That would have been a whole different thing. But that is not what he did. And he came up and then to apologize publicly for something that I'm trying to do my job. There was no reason to apologize for me doing my job to ask a question. There is where my aggravation came from, and there was where my anger came from.
Okay, so how would we know? Brandon, I'll give you just a minute.
Okay, so
So would this go then back to Shauna and any other questions, or do we try and go to continue?
Hey, Shauna had the next one, so it'd be her and then Brennan.
Brandon rebutting, and then Eric rebutting, and then any further. Okay, so Brandon, Shauna's gonna go, and then you will go, and then.
Okay, so I wasn't home when this whole thing happened. I was actually at work. I read the email from work. I think the whole thing could have probably been done differently, but hindsight's 2020. I don't think it's anything that needs to be lingered on. I think we learn from the lesson and move on instead of having to turn into a big, huge boardroom fight. My biggest issue with it is going forward now that there's been an email sent out apologizing for Eric doing something. What is the likelihood that those people he was going to try to talk to are going to be willing to work with him in the future? Because now are they going to realize that he's going to be able to do whatever he's asking, or is he doing something and it's going to get counteracted again? I think it threatens his ability to contact them in the future.
That's something. Brandon, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I'm going to call Eric a liar because I never cursed at him. Secondly, when we brought the city of Port Angeles on to the board, it was as a representative of the city. So this, without going through the board, and I don't know, maybe you're a lawyer, Eric, and you know FCC regulations better than anybody, but the city is not going to pay the taxpayers money to do the research that the board should do before approaching the city with that kind of question. That's it. And I think it was...
Stop. Brandon, go ahead and finish.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
Oh, okay. Eric, and then Shauna.
Okay, first of all, no, I'm not asking them to spend money on FCC regulations. I'm asking if we had, all I was asking was the ability, and I will read what I put in there, which I will put that on public record right here.
It's questions that require research on behalf of city staff. That's what I'm saying.
But PEG stations are allowed to do commercials. We are allowed to. That is a form of revenue, which I am being asked to, as a station manager, I am being asked to find forms of revenue to where we can pay our bills. So you're thinking a little extra paperwork is a means to call me out against the city, upset me like that, because I did the research and it stated that we could have that ability if they cleared us for it.
It says right below your quote that you quoted that we have the ability to give credit or financial, I don't have the paper right in front of me, but the quote you pulled explains exactly how we get revenue from advertising.
No, those are PSAs. PSAs are different than advertising.
Eric, it said, hold on, I got to bring it.
While you look for that, I'm going to let Shauna make her statement.
Okay. First of all, I know for a fact, whether I was here or not, Eric would never use the words, I can do whatever I want with anything. At all. In line. No, that is not my. Second of all, continuing to make comments and make little jabs and heat up the discussion is not going to solve anything. It's just making it worse. Yes.
Okay. Just making sure. Okay. So Brendan, did you find it, or we? Because if not, I'm going to just interject a couple things here.
It's right here on this comment. What he's talking
All
about.
right, hold on. We'll let him find it because he's trying to.
I can't. My phone's dead. I'm at like 1% charge. I'm standing over a charger right now.
Right here.
Like,
I'll let Eric.
but the thing that I took real issue with was the personal attacks on me, or whoever he's talking about when he's talking about professional and political gain. Like, what? Like, I don't understand.
So were you saying that in general? Then is that what you're?
I was saying that in general because of the fact of what do you got to gain to apologize to the city for me asking a question. Honestly, why should there have been an apology there for me to ask a basic question for the board?
You didn't even discuss it with the board, Eric.
It's a question, Brendan. I wasn't making a saying, hey, we're going to do it. I'm asking them because then they can tell me, hey, you can do it, or no, you can't do it. If they say, hey, you can do it, then I bring it to the board and say, hey, guys, we can do commercials. Do you want to do it? If they tell me no, then all we can do is PSAs and we don't make money. I won't know that unless they answer my question, which now I can't ask because you're apologizing for me asking it.
That's ridiculous.
What's ridiculous about it?
What you're saying that you can't ask a question because I apologize for a mix-up because you didn't consult the board. That's ridiculous.
Okay, why should I? There is nothing stating I have to consult the board to ask a question. Where in our bylaws does it even state that?
When you're speaking on behalf of the board, you should at least, you didn't even email it to the rest of the board.
Because I was asking a simple question of the city. There was no reason for me to do it. You guys asked me to do this stuff. You asked me to.
So I'm going to interject here and say a couple of things, and then I'm going to defer to Keith here in a second for a quick conversation. So first of all, I'm going to take part of the ownership in this because when we had discussed all the added stuff that we were going to be getting with TeleView, I had a conversation with Eric to look up potential commercial conflicts with being able to do commercials on our other stuff because it is ours versus what we have as an obligation to the city for Wave. That's where this stemmed from because I wanted to make sure whether there was any issues of having the streams either being, two different streams or whatever workaround if there was no conflict in having commercials for our web and apps versus our stream that goes out through Wave. So,
What is that?
Maxwell left.
So that is where this originated from in terms of being able to find out revenue streams, which Eric was mentioning. Now, the second thing I want to also add is to Eric there, or to the board in regards to what Eric said. There is nothing that says you cannot address any of the city members or vice versa, that we have to address Brendan in regards to all matters or whatever. But it is professional courtesy that we do keep the entire board apprised of actionable things, or just in general, just to keep the board apprised. And typically what we've done in regards to city issues, we would inform Brendan and or work with Brendan to get things addressed. So there is fault everywhere where it is, and we all just have to kind of accept that and move past that. But into a bigger part of both of you guys had brought up in terms of questioning the authority or the way that is perceived by apologizing and or by stating on behalf of the board. There is a little bit of an issue in terms of representing the entirety of the board. That statement does hold some weight when making that statement, and that is probably not have the best choice of words. And Eric, I don't think you should have used that. That's my opinion. At the same time, Um, Brendan, I think the way that uh, addressing the apologizing and saying that he should have gone through you is also mischaracterized and holds weight to it too, because you are authority of the city, and you're basically taking out Eric's authority not only as a station manager but even as a private citizen to cause remember, if we all kind of reflect back to Dale thing, we had an issue with Dale, but to an extreme level. He still had the authority to do so, but not when he was representing Papa, especially when he was doing it in a bad way. But we had parameters that were set forth to be able to still have a conversation as long as it met within guidelines. So that's what I want to interject from my point. Keith, I'm going to defer to you here because I really don't know in terms of what we should be doing to resolve this. And I
Okay.
know you have more experience.
Process of resolution. Okay, I'm going to start with Brendan. What do you want to see moving forward?
When it just says when anybody wants to speak on behalf of the board, to notify the board. That's my only problem with this whole thing. There's different ways to generate revenue. I understand how nonprofits work. I understand how for-profits work. My problem is the board specifically. If you're speaking on behalf of the board, at least fill the board in on what you're doing. Maybe bring it to a subcommittee, something like that. And the personal attacks is just ridiculous, and that's unconscionable. That's not a good thing to do. It shows lack of professionalism on every front.
Okay. Eric, what do you want to see moving forward?
I want to see if the board is asking me to do a specific job. Okay, if you guys are asking me to go out and find this and find money, if you guys are asking me to go out and find a way to expand Papa, what Papa can do, or go out and find contracts or whatever it is, and everybody it talks to me about this. Okay, I'm not going out acting for myself.
Yeah.
I'm going out and, as far as I'm concerned, acting in the name of the board to do the job you guys are asking me to do.
Okay, I got that. What I'm asking is what do you want to see in the future?
Can you clarify?
What I mean is, we understand the situation, what came of the situation. How do we want to make amends and move forward in the future?
Okay, well, first of all, one of the things that I would like to see and make amends is, if there is an issue with whatever I have or whatever I'm doing, first of all, call me, but call me with enough time that you're going to be able to talk to me and resolve what's going on between us. And second of all, don't go out and post something publicly that contradicts what I'm trying to do, because that takes, like I said, I feel that that's an attack on me, saying that I don't know what I'm bringing up when I've studied it.
Okay. All right. So, Brandon, go ahead.
No, that wasn't Brandon. That
Oh.
was
Who was that?
was that
Raise
MD?
their hand.
I raised my hand.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. That's the right corner. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's just there's no problem. Eric goes and says, "Hey, I'm a member of Papa. I want to try to bring in money. I want to try to do things. Da 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 da." It's specifically when he speaks on behalf of the board. I don't want to give Eric carte blanche to speak on behalf of the board for everything. No, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. No.
No. Okay, that's fair. And so, what I'm getting from both of you guys is it really boils down to communication. So I think in the two resolutions are very justified. I think everybody on the board can adhere to that. I think that there's nothing that says that we shouldn't have notification on certain things like that. There's also nothing that says that if we give a task to Eric, that he should be able to do that. So that's where it's going to differ back to Arthur on. We'll have to kind of figure out between you two. But you guys both have the exact same. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brendan.
I just want to also point out that Eric sent this at 7:45 this morning. He could have brought it to the board tonight. There was a meeting tonight. There was no reason to send this out on behalf of the board in the morning. We had a meeting tonight.
Okay, in retrospect to that, if I had got an answer back from them, I could have brought that to the board tonight, which is what I was looking to do. An option for Papa to be able to get money. And that was my entire intention, I sent it out early, so when they got in, they would see it in their email, where possibly I could get an answer for or against. And if it was for, I could come up to the meeting tonight and say, "Hey guys, guess what? I did this research. I talked to them. They said we got this option. What do you guys want to do?"
Brandon.
I mean, it's no offense. These people literally run an entire city. Papa is not the first email that they're going to respond to in the morning. That's why having a representative for the city on the board was such a crucial thing, and that's why the city council voted for it.
So,
Brendan, I agree with you, but I also do listen. I don't know if I'm just hearing a wrong tone, or I know that you're upset, but I mean, Eric does have a right to ask a question. I think we've all, at one point or another, have asked questions of the city in many different respects. I mean, I talked to Corey quite a bit. I talked to Nathan quite a bit, both as for before I was the chair, when I was just doing outreach for Papa in an unofficial capacity, even in an official capacity when I was unofficial capacity, there wasn't a anything that says you can't ask, much less the fact that, you know, if there was an actionable thing, then yes, you couldn't do anything that resulted in an action. But to me, it seems like you're very upset that he used the words, and granted, the words I do have a little bit of an issue with.
I can agree with that the wording may have been wrong. I'll agree with that. I'll agree with Brendan and you on that. I agree. I did it because because the board asked me to do this stuff. That's why I put those in there.
Okay,
that was it.
Let me finish. But I want the takeaway to be with my point is that we all have a right to communicate to the city, and I think that's something that has to be remembered. Was in all of our, whether we're doing it as private citizens or for Papa, as long as it's not something that, you know, creates an action or creates a problem. I mean, look at how long it was, and I'm sorry to say, you know, especially if we're going to be airing this stuff, look how we handled Dale's situation. And we gave him many chances and many communication trainings, I guess, for lack of a better way to phrase it. So I could see the wrongs on both parts, but I think we need to just remember that we do have the right to communicate.
Okay, so I'm gonna Brandon, go ahead, and then I'm gonna kind of move this on.
Yeah, of course, everybody has a right to petition and talk to their government. That's like, I'm a huge advocate of transparent government and advocating for people to petition their government. 100%. That's not a thing. My problem was with the working on behalf of the board in the wording, and then also the personal attacks is just, it's unconscionable. It's ridiculous. It's unprofessional.
Okay.
Really, really quick, please, one comment. Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you guys. Part of the reason he put personal political gains, I am one of those reasons. Because I'm getting my master's degree and I want to move up and be in some sort of like C-suite management type role. Being treasurer of a nonprofit organization is going to look super good on my resume. And to be honest, 100% of the board say they're just doing it because they want to be nice. I doubt it.
I mean, I think everyone always has something
Okay.
Anyway, let's.
Can I do one final comment just in regard, and then Keith, you can totally move this on.
All right.
Okay, and just to move this along, honestly, granted, there were personal attacks I put out there. I was mad. I was mad because I was made to look that way due to a public email sent out against what I was trying to ask. It made me look like an ass, in my opinion. You didn't call me. You didn't call me back up. You didn't try to approach me any other way when you said, "I'll talk to you about this later." That email went out. That's when I got upset, and that's when I had lashed out. And I was wrong on that. You're right. I shouldn't let my temper get the best of me. But I felt like I was being attacked and being told that I didn't know what I was doing, and that there was no reason to listen to anybody but you because I'm supposed to go through you. To resolve this, if you say you're going to call me back to talk about it, call me back to talk about it. Don't go behind me and try to clean it up that way first, because if you read through that email, knowing what I'm saying to you now, that looks like an attack on me and my position.
Brendan, do you want to respond?
I don't want to respond to that.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna finish this up. You guys, this is how I see it. You guys both are very passionate about making Papa grow. You guys are very pivotal in this board, and I honestly believe that, and this is the part where I was going to talk to Arthur about, is as president of the company, he is going to have to approach what has been said tonight and come up with a procedure for how to move forward. However, I will say that, are you guys still willing to work with each other? Would you, if, he obviously wants to be informed in the know when there's stuff working in the city, are you willing to do that?
I'm always willing to work.
Okay. Brendan, are you willing to work with Eric and make sure that we move forward when it comes to this kind of stuff in the future?
Listen, I'm in Papa for no political gain, no personal gain. I'm in for Papa to help the citizens of Port Angeles access media and increase transparency in government. I have no alternative motives besides that. If I Eric's our vice president, I have to work with Eric.
All right.
What if he wasn't the vice president?
That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter.
So in the I'll let Arthur defer to this, but it sounds like you guys would be able to work in the future, so there's nothing really left to go discuss at this point.
I would like an apology if possible. I mean, like, there's some serious accusations he threw around in that email that is pretty hurtful, to be honest with you.
I have no problem apologizing, especially for losing my temper and for saying some of the things I did. But at the same time, I would like an apology for going behind me instead of coming up to me and talking to me about it and coming at the city that way.
I did come up to you and talk to you about it, Eric.
No, you said you'd call me back later.
We talked about it. You would not admit that you were in the wrong. You said that you could do what you want on behalf of Papa. That's what you said.
No, I said I did not say I could do what I want. What I stated was there was no reason I needed to go to the board for a simple question. Is exactly what I had stated in that conversation.
And what did I say, Eric? What did I say? When you speak on behalf of the board, you should go through the board.
Right, but as I'm saying to you, what you're asking for an apology for, and I stated I lost my temper after that email was sent, was because of the fact you, at the end of that, you said, I've got to go. I've got things to do. I will call you, or I will talk to you later about this. You did not talk to me later about this. You sent out an email publicly about it.
So, okay, we're not going to go and split hairs. And in fact, again, I'm going to reiterate, I asked Eric to look into the commercial stuff for multiple reasons. So, and again, technically, I don't want to go into splitting hairs. He did start the process on my request, which was a board request that I had asked him as a board member. So I don't care if you did or not. I'm just saying I had started. So I'm not going to let you guys go back and forth about it from that aspect because that stems from me. So here's the thing, guys. There is, like Keith said, it's miscommunication. Eric should have definitely informed Brendan about it because that's typically what we've done with any matters to the city. Eric does have a right to, if he wants to bypass you, he does have a right to go and ask the city whether there's no rule against it. So let's not continue going back and forth on those two things because you guys are both right and you're both wrong at the same time. And I'm going to sit with Keith and have a discussion on about now or after the meeting, but we'll get back to you in regards to that. As long as you guys are comfortable with continuing to work with each other. If not, please let me or any of the other board members know if you'd like to indirectly work through one of us to work.
No. As a requirement on the board, you have to be able to work with everybody on the board, regardless if you like them or not. That's just the way. So
scratch that. I will get back to you guys in regards to that after I have a conversation with Keith about that. Okay. Is there anything else that we need to address in that? Okay, so we'll get back to you two on that. Okay. So we don't do any further questions on this.
No, I mean, if you guys want to talk about it, you can talk about it.
No, I don't think we. Yeah, no.
But no, so, it's at this point, it's
officially from the official way.
Yeah. So
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna move on then to announcements for the good of the order. Does anyone have any announcements that they would like to share?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Jeff.
As vice chair, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity that I had to help Papa TV and be able to be part of a great board and learn a little bit while I was there. I do apologize that there wasn't more I could do for you guys, but I think as the new vice chair comes in, there'll be new things with everybody. And as next year rolls around in January, when there's a new chair to run stuff, I wish them the best. I think that being a board member of Papa is a very great experience. And I think that the next vice chair will do a great job. And I think that they'll be in the interest of Papa. So I want to thank everybody for every opportunity that I had and your support. Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for all the time you put in as the vice chair. And you're only stepping down as the chair, right? I forgot.
Yes, just as a chair. Yes, yeah.
Okay. So, but again, thank you for the time you put in as the vice chair and all the things that you did before. So, thank you very much, Jeff. All right. Anyone else have announcements for the good of the order?
Yeah. It's this is my 1 year anniversary, actually. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for allowing me to be on the board. And from the rainy, musty meeting that I had when I got elevated on and all the stuff going on, we've moved forward leaps and bounds, and it's been really incredible to watch. I appreciate every single person on the board and the passion that everybody's put into it. And I hope to continue to work with everybody.
Thank you, Keith. We appreciate your time on the board and everything you've put in as well. You've been there for some crucial moments.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else have anything for the good of the order? Okay. So it is 8:47. Nope. Go away, Siri. March 9th, 2021. The meeting is officially over. Thank you, everyone, for coming to the meeting. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next time.
And Maxwell, I will reach out to you about the committees and stuff through email. I appreciate you joining our meeting today.
Silas. Can you hear me, Silas? Can you hear me? Thank you for all the hard work you're doing. I don't have any sound.
Oh, hold on. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, now I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize my mute button was on.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure that I gave you the opportunity to step up if you wanted to become.
Oh, yeah. I don't.
You know, so.
No, I think it's more important to Eric to have that right now, and I'd rather him be satisfied in that position than having to try to figure out how to like pay an executive director. To be honest.
Yeah. That's
so.
True. That's true.
Yeah.
But I think that you've been a big part of Papa and making sure stuff gets done. Like being treasurer and in trying to help us get stuff flowing. The way it is. I'm not going to say that I'm not sad to leave as vice chair. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to get out a vice chair. because I think there's a lot of pettiness going on. Which
That's
I
for
told,
sure.
which I told them
Yeah.
right before. And I said, I did serve 3 years, so I was served my term. So I was like, hey, I said, I'm good to go, plus my family stuff that I have in school and everything else. But I like being a member of the board, to watch stuff and do all the stuff and learn as we're going and what's happening with Papa. But I'm glad that they did get rid of the band. That's good. Because
Yeah, it was
it's just a bad asset to have.
best move of the
And
night.
I told Arthur before. I said, why don't we sell that van and get rid of it? Because I said it's just a bad. You're not making any money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're paying all this money for this equipment, it's going to be great to put that money into that equipment.
Yeah,
So we can help people. So,
I agree.
but yeah, but thank you again for staying on. I mean, I know 3 hours is long for treasure and everything. So, well, you have a great night.
You too.
And you try to get some rest. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.